I think this is really going to be a helpful lesson for you today. Very and really are two very basic words in English, but I do know that they can be really confusing for a lot of English learners. Let's discuss.
Welcome to another Happy English podcast coming to you from New York City. And here's your English teacher, Michael.
All right, thank you, John, and thanks, everyone. It's Michael here from Happy English, and I help people speak English better. And this is Happy English Podcast, episode 803. Is it really or very? For a lot of English learners, really and very can be confusing to use. So, if you sometimes use one of them in the wrong situation, you're going to want to listen to this podcast English lesson till the end. Both very and really are used to make adjectives and adverbs stronger, but they are used a bit differently. From a grammatical point of view, we use very before an adjective or an adverb. In this usage, very has a kind of formal sound, like, the book I am reading is very interesting, or, a lot of the skyscrapers in New York City are very tall, and the people in this city walk very quickly. This use of very sounds stiff or formal, like something you may read in a grammar book. You know, grammar books are very interesting. On the other hand, really is more informal and conversational sounding. So, we tend to use really in everyday conversation. Really is more dramatic than very. The book I'm reading is really interesting. Or, a lot of the skyscrapers in New York City are really tall, and the people in this city walk really quickly. So, really is more expressive sounding than very, which is more dry sounding. In summary, both very and really boost the strength of an adjective or adverb. For instance, it is very hot and it is really hot mean almost the same thing. But if you are writing formally, very might be the better choice. Choose very for more formal contexts and really for informal everyday conversation. By the way, we can use very and not really as an adjective before a noun. When we do, very gives emphasis to show that the noun is the actual or exact noun we are talking about. Like, I remember when I saw a classic car in an old movie. It was a 1958 Chevy Bel Air. And recently, I saw someone driving that car in my neighborhood, and I said to my friend Paul, "That is the very car that I saw in the movie." The very car that I saw in the movie. This means that the car is exactly the car that I saw in the movie. Let me give you another example. When I was a university student, I had a ballpoint pen which was made of wood. It was my grandfather's pen. Well, unfortunately, that pen was lost a long time ago, but recently I was looking for a wooden pen and I found one in the stationery shop. That was the very pen I was looking for. In other words, that was the exact pen that I was looking for. Oh yeah, and you can use the phrase the very same before a noun. The very same means exactly the. Like, that is the very same car I saw in the movie. In other words, that is exactly the car I saw in the movie. Yup. That was the very same pen I was looking for. And finally, you may be wondering, I can say I really like pizza, but I can't say I very like pizza. Why is that? Well, the reason is that really and very work differently in sentences. Really can be used to strengthen a verb directly. So in I really like pizza, the word really intensifies the verb like, meaning you like pizza a lot. On the other hand, very is just used to modify adjectives and adverbs, but not verbs. That's why I very like pizza doesn't sound very natural. To use very with like, you would need to change the sentence. For example, you could say, I like pizza very much. Here, very is modifying much, which is an adverb, which in turn intensifies like. To sum up, we use really to modify verbs directly, and really or very to modify adjectives or adverbs. Keep in mind, the best way to remember English like this, and any other word or phrase in English, is to take that word or phrase, write it in a sentence that's true for you or true in your world, and then memorize your sentences. And did you know? You can get more practice using your English when you join my Podcast Learners Study Group. There, you can make new friends. Join us for live group lessons every week where we practice these podcast lessons together. Plus, you get access to the PDF transcript and audio download for every Happy English podcast in the past and in the future. And on top of that, each episode has exercises where you can practice this English point with speaking and writing checked by me. To learn more, just visit myhappyenglish.com and choose podcast lesson 803. Remember, learning another language is not easy, but it's not impossible, and I'm here to help you on your journey.
This podcast was brought to you by Happy English. Please visit myhappyenglish.com. Show your support for Happy English by leaving us a review. Get English, get happy, Happy English.